The room. A man enters a room and eyes his new surrounds warily. The first thing he notices is that the only way in or out of the room is via the door he entered through, which is just closed behind him. There are no other doors nor windows, just smooth wooden walls which have been varnished to a lustrous sheen that reflects the room's overhead light, which he can't quite make out where it's emanating from. He does notice it lights only the centre of the room and each wall, leaving the corners and somehow the ceiling in darkness. The shadows give the man an intense feeling of discomfort and claustrophobia, and he can't shake the feeling that he is being watched by unseen eyes. Panic suddenly sets in and he quickly turns to leave by the door, only to find there's no handle with which to open it and only the faintest outline in the wall to suggest it was even there. Turning back to face the room, he screws his eyes tightly shut, leans his back against the wall and slides down it into a crouch, wrapping his arms around his knees. Opening his eyes slowly, he turns to face the dark corner to his left and right. Still unable to shake the feeling of being spied upon, he can't help but wonder if someone or something is hiding in one of those dark, uninviting corners. Although terrified to do so, he knows there is only one way to find out, and so he gathers his courage and starts to explore the shadows. Staying low, he crouch walks along the wall, trying to make himself seem small as if it will keep him from being seen. Heart beating loudly in his ears and painfully in his chest, he explores from one corner to the next. Finally, taking what seems to be an eternity, he reaches the final corner. Satisfied that he is the only person in the room, he stands, letting out a long breath to calm himself, for now he knows there is nothing hiding in the room that can hurt him. The panic quickly returns though, when a barely audible whisper of sound draws his attention to the middle of the room. His focus is now fully fixed on the table standing in the middle of the otherwise barren room that he had somehow missed on entering. The table looks like the kind found in kitchens the world over, simple and wooden, its surface barren. Curiosity is a powerful thing, so, as if he cannot help himself, the man cautiously walks to and then around the table, examining it from all sides, stopping only at the discovery of a drawer. The drawer sits in the centre of the long side of the table, on the opposite side to where the man started his inspection. In its centre is a brass handle, round, shiny and inviting. Curiosity once more takes hold of the man, but so too does fear as he sees the shadows under the table. Again he crouches, straining eyes and ears for what dangers may lay between those four legs. Seeing nothing but empty space, he chides himself for behaving like a child, expecting to see monsters under the bed. As he stands, he sees once again the drawer handle, and he finds himself unable to resist opening the drawer to find out what's inside. Wrapping his hand around the handle, he pulls. Expecting that the drawer will be locked or stiff, he uses more force than necessary and is surprised when it opens smoothly with a sigh, as if relieved to be open and revealing its contents. The drawer is wide and deep and occupied by a single object, a simple wooden box, dark brown in colour, with the words "Do not open" crudely scratched into the surface of its lid. No longer ruled by fear of what he might find, the man takes the box from the drawer, finding that it is bigger than he expected, requiring both hands to lift it, as if the drawer has somehow changed his perspective of it, and sets it on the table. Paying no heed to the warning on the lid, he flips it open and peers inside, desperate to find out what's inside the box. Confusion creases the man's face as he discovers that the box contains a perfect replica of the room in which he stands. Intrigued, he moves his face closer to the box to study its contents, but stops when the door in the miniature room opens and a man steps in. The man in the box eyes his new surrounds warily, before turning his back to the wall and sliding down it into a crouch, wrapping his arms around his knees. Realization and shock drape themselves upon the man outside of the box as he watches himself in the room within the box. Scanning the room within for some way to warn himself, while the smaller he searches the room, he spies the box on the table. Knowing that time is short, he reaches in and snatches the miniature box. Again, it is bigger than he expected, giving him an idea. Using his fingernails, he quickly scratches the warning, "Do not open," into the lid. As he goes to return the box to its place on the table, he spies the open drawer. Suspecting that the contents of the little box are the same as his, the man thinks to hide it from himself in the drawer. He curses silently to himself as the drawer makes a whisper of a noise as he closes it. Inside the room in the box, the man's attention is grabbed by a whisper of a noise. The man in the room watches in horror as events unfold in his box and the drawer is found and the warning ignored. Now both he and his miniature peer inside the little box to see a perfect replica of the room. Knowing what is about to happen, the man looks to the ceiling and wonders if he is truly himself or just a man in a box being watched by a man in a box by a man in a box.